great deal of stress and are experiencing a high level of uncertainty. An emphasis on workplace well-being is more important than ever. How can we take care of ourselves and take care of one another as we respond to the needs of our communities? So those are the 5 classes that are the 6-week continuing ed, or you can take them for graduate credit. Now, we also have free webinars on our archive. If you go to our homepage, go to student resources, and then go to continuing ed, it is under continuing education. And this is just a screenshot, but we have a whole bunch of archives that you can watch for free. Some of them that I just wrote down were being trauma informed during a pandemic, documenting history, inclusion, memory, and community, accessibility from the ground up, the dark web and libraries, serving underserved populations at your library. Just last night we had a webinar, and it's already uploaded, and it was an archivist meet and greet. So if you're interested at all in archives, you can get kind of a great overview of what it is to be an archivist, how the job market is. And okay, next.
And you have 1 minute.
Yes, yes, I know. Okay, so my last thing I want to stress is, here's all my information. If anybody has an idea for a course, if you want to pitch a real course that you want to teach, let us know. Or if you just think of a trend that you think that we should cover, or you wish you knew more about, and it might be either a course or a webinar topic, just let me know. We are always looking for ideas, and input from you all is perfect. So that's all I have. Can you write the link? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so. I'll try to find that. I'm done.
Thank you so much, Kathy. That's really good to know. Wow. I see them pop up on the on the listserv, but yeah, people should definitely take advantage of continuing education.
You can look at them later, when you have free time. We all have.
My employees have been going to town with webinars lately, so it's something that can be done. The next presenter is, let's see, it is Virginia Hunt from mylibro.com, and she's going to talk about contactless patron engagement is key.
Hi, everybody. So yeah, I just want to talk a little bit. As she said, my name is Virginia and I'm with My Libro. I want to talk a little bit about what our libraries that work with us at My Libro have been doing in this time to stay engaged with patrons and to make sure that the workflow is beneficial to the staff and also beneficial to the patrons as well. So next slide. So here's some of the things that we're able to do. We started at My Libro with basically increasing the accessibility of the ILS. So we link in with your ILS and patrons can voice search. We're VPAT ADA certified for that voice activation. And then also, text search, just increasing the mobile availability as well for that set of patrons that is used to being able to interact through things through their phone. Additionally, because we're linked into that ILS, you can do a lot of account management, and we can check what you have on hold and what you have checked out, renew books. We link in with Overdrive, so you can actually access audiobooks through the app as well. And then you can notify your patrons of things like closures, especially as we get into winter here, any programs, anything like that. So we'll link in with events platforms for virtual events right now, maybe in-person events in the future. And then of course that contactless pickup and that in-library services. So as we need to go back to offering computer services and passport services and all of that makes the library so valuable in the community. Next slide. So here are some of the libraries that we've been working with. You can see it really runs the gamut from smaller libraries to larger libraries, systems like the King County system out in Washington. We have a lot of different options depending on what you need, really customizable solutions to fit in your workflow. So Sweetwater, for instance, that's out in Wyoming, they're basically open. So rather than the curbside and the in-library services, we've been working a lot with them on that voice activation. That is really important to them to have that mobile device access to the library. And now Haverhill, which is in Massachusetts, that they've been pretty closed down. So that curbside process that they had going on, that was involving 3 phone calls at the beginning. So to make the hold, to make the appointment, and then to say when you're at the library. We can streamline all of that for them. So we save them about 150 calls a day to their staff. So next slide. And one of the things that our member library in Zionsville was experiencing, you can see the pictures there of how they have it set up now, the materials to brochures so that their patrons engaged with the app, all their hold pickups. They were getting a system where they were closed down, they were in the library, the staff was there, but they wouldn't get any appointments for 5 hours, and then 15 people would show up at once. So our system allows the staff to limit the appointments per time slot, to determine how those time slots are going to best work with the system that you have in place, and just really be able to streamline that information. Next slide. So we have a lot of different plan options. So just to talk a little bit about this aspect of it, so you have the information. We do have a free curbside option. Basically, that gives the staff access to all the customization options for the curbside module, 500 pickup appointments a month, completely free, not a trial, just a free option. If you want,
you have about 45 seconds.
Yeah, thank you. If you want more of that integration and things like that, we can get you a full demo that can work with you in your library on what the best package is going to be. So that's a 25% off if you book a demo before November 5th. I will put my email in the chat, but I think it'll be on the slides at the end as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just a little bit about us, but thank you, and look forward to hearing the rest of the talks.
Thank you so much, Virginia. Yeah, I know a lot of us have scrambled to go to curbside.
Yeah. So I think it's a really great option to have some, focus there, and it helps the patrons as well, because it's really easy for them to go in there and select the appointment they need and then show up and get their books.
I know initially it was super clunky, I know, for probably a lot of people.
Yeah.
So the next presentation is from Lindsay Metcalf, and she's actually a children's author and journalist, and she's going to talk about her presentation is from oral history to published book.
Thank you. Yes, as you said, my name's Lindsay Metcalf, and I'm from Concordia, Kansas. I'm a trustee here at the Frank Carlson Library, and I'm a debut children's author. And I had a cool collaboration with the Kinsley Library in Southwest Kansas that I really wanted to tell you about. Usually I give this presentation with Joan Weaver, who's the director of the Kinsley Library, but because we only had 5 minutes, we thought we'd consolidate. So they do oral histories. They do amazing comprehensive oral histories. And the one that caught my eye was called Tractorcade to DC. And this is because of this photo you see on the left. If you look at the back of this tractor, it says Washington, DC or busted. And this is a picture that my father, who's a farmer, sent to me from a local event a few years ago. And I had grown up on a farm in the 80s. And I had never heard of this event that had happened in 1979. What happened was the American agriculture movement was protesting low market prices, and they decided to drive their tractors from the Midwest and all over the country really to DC, and they camped on the National Mall. They were trying to demand action from Congress. So the first thing I did was Google, and the first thing that popped up was this oral history project from Kinsley Library. Next slide, please. So Kinsley did this amazing project, and it was really a treasure trove of research for me. I was looking to do a nonfiction book, and I'll show you the cover a little bit later. But what I wanted to know was the perspective of the farmers. And they had these extensive oral histories that they had not only recorded and put up on YouTube, but they transcribed them. And I could really see that they had done their diligence with asking questions and making sure that their interviewees were giving accurate answers. You know, if something didn't seem consistent from the previous interview they'd done, they'd kind of remind them that, oh, well, this is what so-and-so said. What do you think about that? And you could tell that, you know, memory is fallible, but they were trying to get to accurate information as much as possible. And so they collected these oral histories, they collected journals and diaries, they collected newspaper articles and copies of the protest buttons and photos, and they put all this together in this amazing package. Next slide, please. So this was a great starting point for my research because I was able to get the farmer's perspective first. When I dug a little bit deeper, I looked into newspaper archives and saw that there was a lot of coverage during the days of the event, which happened in winter 1979. They were there through a snowstorm, and the coverage from the Washington newspapers was basically, they're giving us a traffic jam. They're in the way, they're kind of a menace, they're tearing up the mall. Nobody really wants them here. But if you go back to the oral histories and you really ask people why they're doing what they're doing, you'll see that they were just trying to get their story out. They were trying to tell the American people that we, the people who produce your food, are in danger of losing our farms. And then what are you going to do? So Kinsley collected these stories. They put together a timeline, as you can see, with photographs, and it was a wonderful starting point for me. Next slide, please. And also, they made it accessible via catalog, and they also had an in-person event. So none of this was things that I was able to access because I came along later. Their project was in 2012, and my research began in about 2017, 2018. But this is something that any rural library especially should do, any library in general, I think. Not only local history and local events, but how are people in your area affected by national events, worldwide events? Is their perspective different from the perspective you see across the media? And you never know where this information that you collect will end up. In my case, Kinsley didn't know that I was going to be writing a children's book, but it ended up being the perfect jumping off point for my research. Next slide, please.
You have about 1 more minute.
Okay. And this is the last slide. So this is how you can contact me if you have any questions. I had forgotten to include Kinsley's web URL. It's easy to find. It's just kinsleylibrary.info. And they've got several oral history projects up there for you to look at, but they go really deep. They've got all kinds of scanned documents, and I encourage everybody to take a look. And this is my book. It's called Farmers Unite, Planting a Protest for Fair Prices. It comes out November 10th from Calkins Creek, which is an imprint of Boyd's Mills and Kane. And I'm delighted to say that it's a Junior Library Guild selection. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. I can only imagine how many kids actually gravitate towards your books. I have a 4-year-old, and I could assume being like, tractors, tractors. It's a very eye-grabbing cover for little ones.
Yeah, it's got archival photos, which was really fun to curate. And it ended up being for 8 to 12-year-olds, which was different than I had envisioned. But I love the final product. So thanks for having me.
Congrats. So the next person today is actually Marcy Malia. And she contacted me, I believe it was just yesterday, and said, oh, I actually can't be there today. But she went ahead and updated this with her audio with each slide. So although she's not here, she is from the Goodland Public Library. I think they were short-staffed or something, and she got pulled away. So I'm going to be clicking through the audio for her. So just know that she's not here today, but this was the presentation she had put together. So
we're going on a book hunt. Hi, my name is Marcy Milia, and I'm the Children's Librarian at the Goodland Public Library. A book hunt. When our library reopened after the pandemic lockdown this past spring, we knew we needed to reconnect with our patrons somehow. Our book hunt idea was born. A book hunt is a fun family activity for all ages. The way we do it is we fill a bag with books, activities, and a few surprises, and then hide it somewhere in our town. We post a clue on social media, and we wait for the bag to be found. Gather. First step is to choose your books. They can be new or used books. We like to shop after holiday clearance sales at Walmart, Target, dollar stores, and stock up throughout the year. And then we can also find some really good deals on Scholastic books. You choose as many books as you like. We usually do 2 to 3. And sometimes I like to make fun theme bags where everything is about cars or animals or sports. We then add coloring pages, printed out word searches, puzzles, things like that. And then I like to add fun surprises like stickers, small toy, or something cute I have laying around. This is the best time to get rid of bookmarks and leftover summer library program stuff. Gather. Contain. Choose a weatherproof, waterproof container. We bought these hanging storage bags on Amazon. They were roughly $40 for 25 bags. And most of our families have returned their bags, and so we've been reusing them, which has made it really nice. And to make the bag noticeable, we put a big bright pink duct tape X on the bag. Hide and hints. Choose well-known places in your town and hide the bag in a safe place. Parks, playgrounds, famous landmarks, touristy places, lawns of the library, courthouse, etc. Some places might require permission, so keep that in mind. This summer we hid around 20 bags, and we will now start hiding a few holiday bags. Type up a cute hint and post on your social media and in the library. And we like to ask our families to post a picture of themselves with their found bag. And there you have it, a really fun, super simple way to stay connected with your patrons, no matter what is going on in our crazy world. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
So again, that was Marcy Malia from the Goodland Public Library. She's not here today, but if you have questions about her book hunt, we do have a digital handout with her email address. The addresses will be at the final page. And then also this PowerPoint presentation is in the presentation document, so you can reach out to her. So let's see. Our next presenter is Judy Keller from Keller Consulting, and she's going to talk about library fundraising online. So Judy.
And I'm going to try and get my stopwatch going. Hello, everyone. We can go to the next slide. Okay. I want you to know about virtual fundraising, whether or not you have attended one for someone else. Please know that this is a brave new world of fundraising, and it is working. Our firm specializes in capital campaigns and really had not done any social media or virtual fundraising for our clients. When the pandemic hit, we had about 12 clients say, oh, now what are we going to do? What do we do with our golf tournament? What do we do with our gala? How in the world are we going to make up lost operating revenue? So we jumped into virtual fundraising with both feet. And the bottom line is it's working. Here are the few things you should know. And again, this is just the 5-minute version. Don't feel that it has to be perfect. Your patrons, your donors especially, know you and love you and want to see you succeed. So if you've had a traditional fundraising event in the past and you need to take it virtual, don't worry about the technical parts. It's amazing how generous and forgiving our donors can be. What's important is that you jump in, and it doesn't have to be huge, but you want to get your feet wet because this is where fundraising is going to live. Even capital campaigns now are moving to the virtual sphere. So if you don't have a donate now button and you don't have a foundation, donate now button on your website, and you don't have a foundation, these are things you need to be thinking about for raising money for special projects. You want to keep your event short, sweet, fun, and certainly display a sense of urgency like we do in all fundraising. Why will a donation make the difference? Next slide. So let's keep it free. Don't get complicated. We have transitioned galas and golf tournaments that originally had fees, but we are finding that we can raise more net revenue than the traditional event if we keep it free and keep it open to everyone. And certainly that's the philosophy in the library world. Keep it interactive, keep it fun and personal, much like this meeting. There are 50 of us on this call, but we can send chats to one person or to the whole group. And certainly everyone's very open and fun. We do have to make it easy for donors, easy to find the Zoom, just like having this conference virtually. We want to stay with our culture, and I will tell you more about that in just a minute. And mostly we want to say thank you, as we do anytime we're asking for community participation. Next slide. So here is keeping to our culture in Lawrence, Kansas. We have drag bingo, and it's fun and it's silly and it takes an hour. And Deja, who is a member of the foundation board and beloved in town and a very public drag queen, decided that she would host. Now, I wouldn't recommend that for all segments of the population. You've got to know your culture. You've got to know who would be a great MC for your event. But these folks had a great time. It was still library friendly. It was a little risque, but not too much. And they raised $500, mostly by Deja in encouraging people to go ahead and donate while they were playing bingo. That's just one example. As I say, we've transitioned golf tournaments and galas, and we've done virtual events that had no history of a traditional event. So either way, it works. And not just because your expenses are so much lower, but also because you're able to reach so many more people. You can reach the county if you're in the city. You can reach coast to coast. You can reach people that used to be in town and for whatever reason have left town. So there are great advantages to going virtual. Next slide. So we want you to first think about your online presence. Make sure you've got all your emails, make sure you've got followers, conduct a social media audit, either formally as our firm does or informally, just to make sure you've got as large a potential audience as possible. Do your homework, have fun checking out other virtual events. A lot of them are free. Get creative, as you always do anyway, and go ahead and get your feet wet, host an event. Next slide. I think that's it. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, or I'd be happy to visit afterwards. But the bottom line is they work.
Well, thank you so much, Judy. That was, yeah. I'll tell you personally, my friends of the library who fundraise for us have not done much during COVID. I think they're all retired and a little nervous about taking it online, but I think that's pretty inspiring.
We took one organization where the average age was 65. Mm-hmm. So we trained, but it can be done.
Well, sometimes I think people have to see it happening before they're like, oh, we could do that too.
Yeah.
So our last presenter today is Ray Walling from the Kansas Library Association Education Foundation. He's going to talk about what CLEF does.
Thank you. So today I'm just going to focus on two things. First of all, how we support KLA members in their educational pursuits, and then how you can support us in our mission. So if you move to the next slide, please. So first of all, we provide professional development support for KLA members. This includes being a platinum sponsor of this conference, as well as when we're actually on the ground in Wichita or elsewhere. We do offer $100 grants to KLA members. Additionally, we provide continuing education grants, which are up to $250, again, for KLA members. And it can be anything that is a class that doesn't lead to a degree or a conference or a workshop. It can be on ground or virtual. So there's still opportunities to use that money during this difficult time. But both applications are on the KLA EF webpage, which is part of the KLA website. So you can find those applications there. If you move to the next slide. In addition to professional development support, we also sponsor 2 scholarships that are $1,000 each. These go to KLA members that are enrolled in ALA accredited graduate programs that result in an MLS or similar degree, or a certificate or endorsement in the library media specialist area. The person or people that apply for this must have completed at least 1 semester and be in good academic standing, and they must make a commitment to a library career in Kansas and academic excellence in general. Next slide. And then I want to talk about how you can support what we're doing. So we provide all these financial resources to support the KLA members, but we need people to help us do what we do. So first of all, we have a board that runs the day-to-day operations of KLEF, and we are currently looking for 1 person to fill a seat that's going to be opening in January. We would like to have a school librarian if possible, but we'll be open to other people. But basically the requirements are the person be a KLA member, be willing to serve a 3-year term, attend quarterly virtual meetings, and then also assist with running the booth if we're on the ground in Wichita or elsewhere. There's great leadership opportunities within the organization, from being vice president and president, secretary, treasurer, as well as just being an active member of this board. Additionally, if you are not able to serve on the board, we do have options to donate to the organization. Unfortunately, we cannot do the basket fundraiser this year, so we're looking forward to next year, fingers crossed, being able to return to Wichita and offer baskets for a raffle. But we do have a donation button that is on the conference website that you can click on and make a monetary donation if you feel so inclined. So thank you for your time, and I'll hand it back to Gina.
Thank you so much. Yeah, CLEF is so important. I know in our library, we pay for a lot of our professional development from our income from fines, and we have not been really charging fines through this COVID period. So, you know, looking ahead, we may be hurting a little bit, and knowing that there are scholarship opportunities out there is really great. So we have gone through all our presentations. Here is the contact info for everyone. Again, those documents, PowerPoint, a digital handout, they all live in the presenters document. It's like a button right under the Zoom link to this room. So please go there if you have further questions. However, we do have, we have probably about 10 minutes or so if anyone had a question for the presenters present today. So did anyone have any questions? I'm gonna stop the screen sharing. And you can put your questions in the chat, and we'll make sure and address those. Questions?
Shanna, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, when does the book Farmers Unite, when is it coming out? I can't remember who
Lindsay
was.
I can answer that. It's November 10th, so it's the Tuesday right after the election.
November 10th. All right, thank you.
I'm always looking for good, like, local nonfiction to add to the shelves.
There's a ton of Kansas people in that book, so it's a good option.
Good, thanks.
Any other questions? I know you've just been given a ton of information, so if nothing pops up to you, that's why I feel like I just want to keep blasting you with the contact information for all our presenters, because you may start brainstorming, how do I make this work in my library? And you'll need to reach out. So I feel like that's the most important thing about Spark Talks. But any more questions?
Well, I have a question for the group. I'm just curious to know, I've worked with a lot of libraries. I'm just curious to know who's had to postpone a fundraising event in the last 6-7 months. What are you all seeing? Have you been able to transition to virtual fundraising, or have you postponed, or what are you doing?
Well, I could speak about here. I'm here in Emporia, and I am actually on the board of the William Allen White House here in Emporia. And
Sure.
Emporia does this thing through the Emporia Community Foundation called Match Day. And we usually have it out at the mall, and it's a big all day, 12 hours. People come out to the mall and donate. And so this year it's virtual. And I mean, it's just an online event. And so it will be on November 16th. So I can let you know later how it goes. But
I would
it's all
seriously
new.
be
We
interested.
don't really know. But I think that everybody, you know, we still have our loyal fans, you know, and like you said, they want us to succeed. So I think we will still get some donations. You know, it might not be as many as if it was face to face, but I don't know. I think people are transitioning, and I do think virtual fundraising and online fundraising is going to work.
Well, and Sam Jack from Newton Public Library said that used book sales, but fortunately it hasn't left a major gap in our budget. So it looks like maybe they usually have used book sales and haven't, but we have used book sales too, and we have not had one this year.
So you're not doing curbside pickup for book sales?
Oh, I feel like it's almost like something that people, they come to browse. They want to just like rifle through boxes. That's like the pleasure that people get from used book sales.
It's hard not to browse. I miss browsing.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, I'm guessing a lot of public libraries, if they don't have a foundation, most libraries have friends of the library. And I'll tell you, I have one young person, my friends, and the rest are retired. And I think they're all nervous just about gathering. Someone else in the chat said we had to postpone a larger fundraising projects, but it was affected by community projects too, not just COVID. And someone else said, Wichita Friends has a grab bag sale, but a lot of people were disappointed they didn't get a pick. Someone else said, we had one great book sale, but canceled another one. People loved it and everyone wore a mask.
So it sounds like people are generally postponing rather than running virtual galas or virtual book sales.
I know in our situation, when COVID hit, and we're part of Sedgwick County, so just south of Wichita. So we've had larger numbers of COVID cases, but we tried to socially distance furniture in the library, and the only place we could kind of shove the extra furniture to make it spread out was our multi-purpose room, which is where we do book sales and things. So that's kind of caused some issues if we wanted to even sort of try something. And another person said, we had a grab bag sale with multiple items labeled by genre, which was popular. And she provided a link with a picture. And Sarah Plains Library said, we had a book sale going on right now in person with safety precautions. And Melanie from Pioneer Memorial Library said, we are currently working on getting our donation pages up and running and renewing our website and pages at this time.
Good, good, good. So even if you don't have a foundation, if you have a friends group, you need a donate button.
Right.
Right? Good. Well, I appreciate the input from this group. We do a lot with social services and libraries on the Missouri side, and it sounds like there's a lot of opportunity for growth.
Judy, just a question. Where is your company out of? Obviously, you serve Kansas because you're working with Lawrence Public Library, but.
I've been in Lawrence for 30 years. Our company is based in Kansas City, and we work throughout the Midwest. Right now, we have clients in Nebraska. In fact, a literary organization in Nebraska, Missouri, Kansas, and California. So we're all over, but based in Kansas City.
And it says, is there a donation button company or workup that you recommend?
Boy, I'd be happy to talk to you offline, and happy to talk to anyone offline about their specific needs. I can't really answer that without seeing the website that you've got and hearing a little more.
Mm-hmm. Well, Melanie from Pioneer Memorial Library, definitely reach out to Judy because it looks like she's just too popped up. Well, any other questions from the audience? I hope you guys have all had a successful virtual conference day. It's it's winding down here soon. Speaking of, going virtual and having to do things, it's been really interesting working with the conference committee. Kathy works on it as well, trying to get everything switched over virtual. Classrooms, the sponsorships getting switched over virtual, but we've been really pleased with, I think, how things have turned out. That's putting an event virtually very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, any other questions, guys?
Thank you, Shanna, and congratulations on your election.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited about serving KLA as vice president a couple years and president in future year. Luckily, the next 3 conferences, if we have them in person or in Wichita, I was like, yay!
Yay!
20-minute drive. So. Again, thank you everyone for coming, and be sure to check out the digital handout and the presentation in that documents folder.